All right, in this video where I'm going over the differences between Flames of War and Team Yankee, I'm going to go over artillery. One of the things that has changed is the template size. So in Flames of War, you had 3 different template sizes. You had the artillery template. Then if you put 2 of these next to each other, you'd get the double width template. Then if you put 2 of these together, you'd get the devastating bombardment template. Well, Flames of War had, or not Flames of War, Team Yankee's gone to 2 sizes of templates, which is on this one here. And one is called the artillery template, which is the same size as the original Flames of War one. It's like 6 inches on a side. What has changed is you would think that this outside, which is the salvo template, would be the same size as this one. This was 12 inches. This is 10. So kind of putting them down and comparing them. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. There we go. So if I take this and compare them, you're losing an inch on each side. It'd be even more showing or telling if I move it there. So you're losing like these 2 inches right along the edge here. So it is a different template size. You can still use this one if you want to for your artillery, but your salvo has definitely changed sizes. Now, how do you know which they're going to shoot? Again, you go to your cards, and I don't have these because I haven't bought the models, but I found the Soviets here. You just go, and it'll say like artillery here, and down below is these rockets, which say salvo. So that's how you tell. I believe the helicopters, let me see if I can find the hind here. There's the hind. They do say salvo. So they can do the big template, but it's just one time per game. So that's where you find out what template size you're going to use, and there's only 2 of them now instead of 3. It's either artillery or salvo. So that is one of the differences with artillery now. So I'm going to try to find my artillery chapter. And again, I'm going to tell you the page numbers, and we're going to start on 51. I can zoom in just a little back in here, just a little bit. It used to be USA had a special rule that any of their leaders could spot, and everybody else had to rely on their observer or their commander. Any unit leader can spot. So going with this, if your Abrams are running around, the leader for the Abrams can spot. So now any leader of a unit can spot for the artillery strike. And on page 52, you don't have to pick a tank or a person or wherever to aim at. You can aim at any place on the board. You can aim at this corner of the field. You can aim for the middle of the woods and there's nobody there. You can do it. Here, let's go down here. You can aim for that part right here if you want to, where there's no people. So you don't have to aim at a target like a model to lay down artillery fire now. They also put in the rule that, and it's called danger close, it's right here, that if it's within so many inches of friendly team, you can't do the bombardment. It used to be in Flames of War, friendly fire happened. If you wanted to, you can place that template down and hit your own men. That's not allowed in Team Yankee. So make sure you look this rule over, danger close on page 52. On page 53, just like when you were shooting, you got that free rotation that didn't count as moving. Same thing with artillery bombardment. you get a free rotation and does not count as if you moved. There is the how you roll the hit. If you're using anybody, you just go with the number, and which is your skill to hit. But if you're using the observer to spot for you, it's one easier to hit. So that is the difference with the observer team, is they are going to make it. Instead of like it used to be commanders added 1 to difficulty, it is now the observers subtracting 1. And also take a look at this about the number of weapons firing, because they do have some different modifiers. Like if one weapon's firing, it's 2 harder to hit, 2 weapons 1, 3 to 4 nothing. If you're using 5 or 6 weapons, it's 1 easier to hit, and 7 or more, it's 2 or easier to hit. Not to range in, to hit. And you can also, and these modifiers, look at these carefully also, but there are some interesting ones in here. Range in, gone to ground, those are usual. You don't have to have line of sight to the target. So if you can't even see the target, you can try to hit them. It's just 1 harder to hit them, plus whatever modifiers there are with this. So again, you don't have to have that line of sight. If you subtract and it comes 1 or less to hit, you still have to roll. It takes a 2 to still hit them. So it's not automatic. It's not like the firepower 1+, which is automatic. There's still a chance you might not hit them. Just like in a shooting, if it's 7 or more to hit, there's some extra rolls. It was in Flames of War that if it was more than 6 to hit, it was 6. If it was 8 to hit, it was 6. Now, if it's 7 or more, you roll. If you get a 6, if it's 7, you need to roll 5. If it's an 8, you need to roll a 6. And if it's 9 or more, you can't do it. So those two, this goes along with the way it was with regular shooting. So they correlate with each other. Now moving to page 54. And this has to do with the repeated bombardment. In Flames of War, your spotter put down the marker, or they hit, and if you could repeat that bombardment in that same location using the same spotter and so forth. Now you can do the repeat bombardment, but you don't have to use that same spotter. You can switch spotters. So that's one thing to keep mind of. And also, there's now pre-planned artillery. So at the beginning of the game, you get to put a ranged-in marker down, and that's where you're going to start your artillery bombardment already ranged in. So that is new in the game. Page 55. I'm not going to go over all these, but do pay attention that there are new types of, not just explosives. You can draw up mines, there's bomblets, laser-guided projectiles, and so forth on that. On page 56, with smoke bombardments, you can only do it 1 time per game, per unit that can do it. And the effects of this is really different to Flames of War. You get to put a 2-inch by 4-inch piece of smoke, so 2-inch by 4-inch piece of smoke down for each one in the unit shooting. So if only 2 shooting, you get to put 2 of those 2x4s down. So you put 4, 4. If it's 3 shooting, 4, 4, 4, 5 shooting, you can see. And also, there's no wind. So what direction do you want them to go? Now, what effects does the smoke have? It's like the original smoke I talked about in shooting. it's no longer concealment and gone to ground. It's just +1 harder to hit the target shooting through smoke. And it used to be with smoke, you can only see out 16 inches. Well, with regular smoke shot, not the bombardment, regular smoke shot, there's no limit to how far you can see. It's just +1 hit. Smoke bombardment, it is now only 6 inches you can see through it. So that is a big change with smoke bombardment. So that's all I've got with the artillery rules. There's some major changes there. And next it looks like I'm going to be heading towards assaults.